385 yards. This first London Marathon, even before it started, is surely already the most remarkable success. And even the refreshing rain is helping. It may not look attractive, but these are perfect conditions for marathon running. The appeal of completing a full marathon course, plus the prospect of running through historic parts of London, has brought people who run for fun from all over the world. The race providing that spark of motivation to sustain a fitness program during the winter. Tracksuits taken to the finish by special buses. And as they prepare for the start, just time now to meet one or two of the competitors.
I'm a little girl playing at marathons, but my training's been absolutely serious. I've worked up to 76 miles a week. Last week I ran 14 on Saturday and 21 on Sunday.
14 Saturday, 21 on Sunday?
Yes, and of course I've been running to work and home again 4.5 miles each way. So I feel I've earned my salt, I've done my training, and now all that remains, nowhere to go but out, nowhere to come but in, and nothing to do but run.
Organization so far has been superb. In fact, in many aspects, much better than that of New York.
Better than New York. We've got the weather right, haven't we?
That's correct, but the organization, last night's pasta party, the registration this morning here, it's actually superb to New York.
I said in a moment of idiocy a couple of months ago that I would have a go, and I didn't feel I could jack out now.
Preparing for the start, which will be the firing of a 25-pound howitzer. The athletes in the park waiting patiently. And meanwhile, out on the road, the elite, who actually start the race on the starting line. The back markers, the slowest people in the field, will be some 5 or 6 minutes before they cross the starting line. First mile is very fast, and my word, they're stampeded away, chasing the press photographers out of the way. And this really is suicidal early on. But there's surely a sight that quickens the pulse of even the most seasoned distance runner. With me is Brendan Foster.
I never ever thought I'd see the day to witness a sight like this in London. But maybe it's more important that the people at the front take their time early on, and the people at the back judge their effort in order that they finish.
This mass of humanity moving through the park gates. I must say the start going more smoothly than most of us thought, because the park gates could be a hazard, but they're heeding the warning not to rush through there. The ambulance men waiting, hidden by the pillars. And most of the competitors know enough about the sport, even though this may be their first marathon, to start their own personal watches, although the official clock has started as the gun goes. They'll start their own personal watches as they cross the line. All with targets set, their resolution witnessed by family and friends, they now face one of the most demanding challenges in sport. The elite who went off first, the men and women who can run under 2.5 hours, followed by the 3-hour people, and then right at the back, the people under 4 hours, and then the 4-hour plus people. Well, Ron Pickering's been a long time in athletics, and I suspect never expected, like Brendan Foster, to see anything like this in Great Britain.
Oh, what a marvellous sight. Part Hampstead Heath, part Petticoat Lane, part track and field, and all the family here. What a marvellous turnout from the supporters too. And I think they're going to cheer them all the way around. 26.2 miles. It's just got that real sense of occasion that we so rarely see. And survival is what many of these backmarkers are about. But already a race is underway, although the occasion will be far bigger than the race.
These athletes now approaching the half-mile mark. At this pace, the leaders will be through the mile in about 4 minutes 30 seconds. The race, of course, by tradition, based on the legendary run made by the messenger Pheidippides after the remarkable defeat of the Persian army by the Athenians in 490 BC. It ran from the village of Marathon to Athens, which was approximately 23 miles. With news of victory, cried out, "Rejoice, we conquer," and dropped dead. Dick Beardsley, the American, on the left. And they're still streaming through the start. Responding extremely well to the urging on the loudspeaker to take it easy in the early stages and to watch the park gates.
Well, pick out your friends from that lot. Plenty of time to see them. David Coleman mentioned Dick Beardsley, an early leader. They actually made him the favourite for this race because he's had a lot of experience in mass runs of this sort. Did well running in the New York Marathon. But this is a lovely bottleneck to keep the pace low for those at the back. But the race beginning to develop at the front. One or two familiar characters up there. And Brendan and I trying to sort one or two out. We've seen Mike Cairns, Jim Dingwall, but that's that bottleneck, and it won't do them any harm. Gentle, soft rain, nice and cool, no wind. Ideal for beginners in a marathon.
In the marathon, of course, most of the distance runners make it very, very clear that it's pace that kills and not distance.
For those at the back, it's an experience. For the man at the front, I think they're going to think about the experience later, because for them it's a race.
The leaders well on the way now. They've been running for about 5 minutes. Right up there, Ingemar Simonsen. Or Inga Simonsen, the Norwegian, Dick Beardsley of America there, and Trevor Wright too, possibly the top English runner.
Well, David, they won't have done bad to have cleared the gate by about 7 minutes. That's really well done. Better than the New York Marathon to get them across the start line.
And there, a gentleman on crutches. In fact, it's Brian O'Halloran, who apparently has had a skiing accident and determined to run. 66 years old Thomas Forgan, or Fogden, an Irishman on the way. Quite apart from Brian O'Halloran on crutches. I don't know whether these people are going to complete the course or even try. But there's a marvellous festival atmosphere about the whole scene. Meanwhile, ahead, the famous parade ground at Woolwich Barracks, home of the Royal Artillery.
This is about 2.5 miles, the first feeding station. I think the experienced ones at the front will leave this out, but taking in liquid is important. There you see 13:38 on the clock, the race developing. Paul Eales up there, Brian... Oh, a late starter there. James Summerley, I think. James Summerley, 3:5.69. Came in late. One or two have joined it late. I think they forgot to put their watches on. And that's another. That's Patricia Wright, wearing F173. Patricia Wright of St Albans, her first marathon.
Starting some 20 minutes behind the leaders. That's Dick Beardsley of America in front. Jim Dingwall of Scotland in second place. The leaders now beginning to press the pace. And the mile time confirmed at 4 minutes 31 seconds. Now in the area of 3 miles, the chasing group Simonsen of Norway. Also there is Trevor Wright, Mick Kearns, Paul Eales of Windsor, Slough and Eton, Brian Cole of Tipton. The two leaders trying to break away, and this is very early. They've got about a 10-yard gap. Trevor Wright in the all-white on the curb. Simonsen, the Norwegian, in the all-black running on the outside. Second feeding station, and Dick Beardsley taking advantage.
Dick obviously having a bit of trouble with his drinks there. He decided he didn't want fresh up or something like that. He probably wanted water. The important thing at this point in time is not to be in the lead, not to be setting a pace too much. It's more to settle in that leading group.
Dingwall tucking in behind Beardsley, second fastest American. Cutty Sark, waiting ahead. Famous tourist mark in London. And this on Greenwich Pier, which is some 6 miles, just beyond 6 miles from the start. Six and a half miles, in fact, with the clock showing just over 30 minutes. Knocking out consistent 5-minute miles.
Beardsley still up in front, this interesting American from Boston. But a lot of good names up there. Brian Cole, Paul Eales, Simonsen, a couple of Norwegians, as a matter of fact. Jim Dingwall's still there. Mike Cairns, Graham Lang, the Scots champion, wears 13. Don Fairclough in the leading bunch. Keith Penny, the blonde-haired Cambridge boy, in the middle. Don Fairclough. Bob Lunnan is there. Bob Lunnan from Aldershot, wearing 2.62. Around the Cutty Sark, and Gypsy Moth, 6 miles done. Pace nice and steady, but 5-minute mile pace.
This leading group of about a dozen now well clear of the second group, are some 100 yards behind. Meanwhile, the athletes streaming past the Naval College, and Gillian Adams there, the leading lady. Separate race, of course, for ladies, and Joyce Smith, the favourite to win this. Joyce Smith some way behind Gillian Adams at this stage.
Well, Joyce Smith and Gillian Adams, two of our most experienced marathon runners. There's Roger Baldwin from the United States, wants to be the fastest waiter. He's going to carry that. Just imagine carrying that bottle with him for about 3 hours. We said it was part Hampstead Heath and part marathon race. 43.04, about 8.5 miles gone. Southwark Park there, that boasts a new athletic track with an AstroTurf football pitch. They're very proud of it, and we're hoping that from this great occasion there will be many joining athletic clubs. And there's Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile and one of the walkers, and this occasion is about raising funds. You can see Stoke Mandeville will benefit enormously from Jimmy Savile. What a cheer he's getting. What a marvellous atmosphere from the crowd in London. Long way to go, though. 8.5 miles gone, 26.2 miles, the length of the race. But Jimmy Savile getting a marvellous reception.
Gypsy Moth in the background, but meanwhile the leaders now approaching the halfway stage. Halfway is just before the Tower of London, Tower Bridge. And this point is nearly 14 miles, and they're just beyond 13. The leading group's still the same.
An interesting competitor in the leading group is Mike Cairns, former UK record holder for 1,500 metres. In fact, the record he set was subsequently broken by Steve Ovett. So we're obviously talking about top-class athletes in this particular race. Unfortunately, Mike's had to foreshorten his track career because of foot problems. He's been advised that he can only ever run on the roads, and it's great to see him having a go in an event like this.
Beardsley, the American, on the right as we look in. Brian Cole there in the vest of Tipton. Jim Dingwall, Simonsen of Norway. Eales of Windsor Slough and Eton. Keith Penny's there. So too is Lang of Aberdeen. And really the pace very, very even. Just slightly inside 5 minutes per mile. And from this point, having crossed Tower Bridge, they go out on a circuit on the other side of the river around the Isle of Dogs, returning at a lower level beneath the Tower Bridge at 22.5 miles.
The bridge, in fact, has a slight incline, one of the few hills on the course. This pack getting away, a lot of experience in it. These are the men that have run the marathon distance in around 2 hours 12. The Tipton vest, the green stripes, much to the fore. Mike Cairns there and Brian Cole wearing it, but the American looking strong in the lead.
The object of the exercise for the serious athletes at the front now is to get to this point halfway with conserving as much energy as they can, because the race is about to start.
Well, already the field is really stretched out. The leader's approaching 14 miles, and meanwhile, back at the 6-mile mark, they're still going past. The 6-mile mark, back to the Tower Bridge. And Joyce Smith there in the bunch, the leading lady. 43 years old, mother of 2, and a holder of the British marathon record. I think ran her first international for Great Britain as long ago as 1960 at the distance of 800 metres. They go on their way to the Isle of Dogs and that 10-mile loop. Oh, this is old Ted Peacock, now 73 from Chiswick. This is 28th marathon. Madge Sharples back at the 6-mile mark at Cutty Sark, on her way past Gypsy Moth at a sedate pace. Just looking there, it looks like the second girl going through is the New Zealander Gillian Drake, and there right at the back the late starter Pat Wright, who's painfully making her way towards the Naval Museum just before reaching Cutty Sark at 6.5 miles. In the background, the Naval Museum and Queen's House.
1 hour 18. And this is, we're approaching 16 miles. Dick Beardsley looking strong. Inge Simonsen of Norway coming with him in the black vest. Trevor Wright, good in third. They've battled before in the New York Marathon. These three fellas in 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. 1:19 up. Just coming up to the Isle of Dogs now. Trevor Wright in third. Simonsen in second. Dick Beardsley of America out in front.
They really are beginning to test the British boys now. That's back at Tower Bridge with the pack going through, taking, we estimate, some 42,000 steps apiece on the way. But it looks to me, looking at the watch, it's Roger Corbin, the Los Angeles waiter, reckoned to be the fastest waiter in the world, and who's going to argue? His own rules, by the way, suggest that he must always carry that tray in his right hand, all the way. Not a bad runner, though. The media transport. And meanwhile, on the Isle of Dogs, back to the leaders, and Beardsley and Simonsen have broken away. They really kicked in a fast mile somewhere there, about 4:40, 4:50, low 4:40s we think, and it's taken them right away now from the chasing British group.
Well, there's a Norwegian and an American, and they look set for a head-to-head confrontation. This is what the marathon is all about. They've run 16 miles. They've got another 10 miles to go, and we now know who's fit enough. Let's now find out who's brave enough.
Beardsley seems to be the man forcing the pace. And meanwhile, they're approaching the stage where they go under Tower Bridge as the stragglers are still going over the top. But both seem on target for a very, very fast marathon indeed. Chris Brasher, the race director, John Disley, the course director, both former Olympic medalists, of course, themselves have both suggested this is going to be a very, very fast course, and it's proving that way. Beardsley testing Simonsen all the time. And meanwhile, the back markers going over the top of Tower Bridge, some 10 or 11 miles now behind the leaders who are coming past the Tower Hotel at a lower level. Interesting to see if we can find the gap here before the first Briton comes through. But it's Beardsley who's really pressing the pace all the time. Simonsen just hanging on behind. Trevor Wright is the third man from Wolverhampton and Bilston. clearly very strong indeed, having obviously recovered from what must have been a bad patch.
That's right, Trevor seems to have gone through his bad patch, and now if he can continue this pace towards the finish, he's got to be in for a really fast time.
Coming towards St Catherine's Dock. Tower of London in the background. Beardsley now looks to me to be relaxing a little bit, content to let Simonsen join him. Trevor Wright, he really does look powerful. There's one man going out of the race there at the 13-mile mark, I suspect, in search of a toilet.
A nature stop on the way, and many of the characters taking part. We're actually looking out for Jimmy Savile, who's being cheered all the way around. There he is in the middle, and he's running with Fred LEBOW. On his right, Fred LEBOW with the cap, the man who organises the New York Marathon, who said this is as well organised as any you've seen. And look at Jimmy, he's sucking a lollipop, he's waving to the crowd all the way around. He's made himself, oh, I should think 1 million more fans, because he's doing this for charity, as are many of these runners. 30 miles gone for him. Here's the leaders.
And they are on the embankment at the moment, about 1.5 miles from the finish. Still the two together. They've been on the road now for about 2 hours, 8 minutes, and this is going to be quick. Should be a tremendous finish too. They're racing absolutely together on their way through a packed Parliament Square, and really supporters have turned out in their thousands to enjoy this race, despite the incessant rain. There's been a marvellous atmosphere all the way around, and this first ever London Marathon destined for a tremendous finish. Beardsley having another go. This is Birdcage Walk on the way towards Buckingham Palace, and then they finish on Constitution Hill. And all the time it's Beardsley really who's making the pace. Simonsen hanging on. Oh, and they're comparing notes, they're having a talk as Trevor Wright comes through in 3rd place, and I really do wonder whether in fact they're going to arrange to come in together. They've got about half a mile left. It's decision point for them, but I suspect Simonsen doesn't speak much English, but being an experienced runner, he'll have got the message. Do they battle it out, or do they come in together? Approaching Buckingham Palace, and the route absolutely packed with spectators. The royal family not at home today. And with only about 300 yards to go, someone must make the break if it's going to happen. Into the finishing straight. Simonsen of Norway on the far side. Beardsley of America talks to him again. And perhaps they're going to finish in what is surely the true spirit of a people's marathon like this. Not making any effort to break from each other, as they have the ticking clock above the finish in sight. And as forecast, very fast, and they're going to finish together. The hand of friendship after 26 miles, 385 yards, and Beardsley of America ties with Simonsen of Norway. The time, 2 hours, 11 minutes, 49 seconds approximately, their fastest ever runs.
I can't imagine a more fitting man to finish in 3rd place than Trevor Wright. He's had 10 years at the marathon, he's had many years of difficulties, he's running really strong now, and he's heading for one of his fastest marathons ever, and what a great place to do it.
His wife, the former Rosemary Sterling, Commonwealth 800-metre champion, further back in the field, and she's running well as well.
Trevor Wright have a lot of followers here cheering him on. First two men, though, who shared that victory, never won a major marathon race before, so good for them. Norway and USA. Trevor Wright bringing home the British colours and really looking so strong at the end of the race. 007. Trevor Wright, Wolverhampton and Bilston crossing the line now.
Trevor's time, 2 minutes, at 2 hours, 12 minutes, 53 seconds, and this is Tipton's Mick Kearns.
Well, as Brendan Foster was saying earlier, this is the lad that formerly held the British United Kingdom record for 1,500 metres, sub-4-minute mile, a brilliant trackman in his day, and this is minutes inside his best for a marathon. He really is way ahead. Tipton, 27 years of age. We make it about 22 minutes faster than he's ever run a marathon before. Cairns across the line in 4th place. And Joyce Smith in sight. Joyce Smith. And there must be inspiration for everyone watching this. A girl who was a sprinter and a long jumper for Hertfordshire schools 30 years ago. Terrific to see her way ahead of the next girl, and she running for her fastest time. If she can better that, it will be a new British and Commonwealth record.
Crossing St Catherine's Dock on the way home, about 3 miles to go for Joyce Smith, and she's back in this race in about 140th place. Magnificent run. And she is on schedule too for a new women's British marathon record.
Joyce Smith already holds the UK record, running extremely strongly now, and amongst her she's running with really top-class club runners, men club runners who've run nationally in the past, and what a great run that is by Joyce.
And most appropriately, it's Mother's Day. Joyce, mother of two daughters, Leah 4, Lisa 12, and she's got about 3 miles to go, and no one will begrudge her coming home first. She really started women's marathon in this country. She chased the great Greta Weitz on occasion. She set those Commonwealth best times, and this is the one event where the women are closing the gap so fast on the men. And as one famous American woman marathon runner, Mickey Gorman, said, compared to having a baby, the marathon is easy, and our First Lady of the track makes it look easy.
And I wonder if Joyce will be around for the next Olympic Games, when, of course, the marathon distance will be introduced to the Olympic Championships. That's Gillian Drake back at the tower. About 3.5 miles left. She comes from New Zealand, obviously running very strongly indeed, back in 2nd place in the women's race. And this is the 3rd girl, Gillian Adams. Displaced 1 or 2 of the other athletes who've finished, while we've been looking back to the ladies' race. In 5th place, Graham Lang of Aberdeen. 6th was Brian Cole of Tipton. 7th, Jim Dingwall of Falkirk. 8th, Keith Penny of Cambridge. And in 9th place, Paul Eales of Windsor Slough.
Brent, this cobblestones must be tough, particularly towards the end of the race.
Well, the terrain here, when you've run 20 miles or more, must be really difficult. I can see some of the athletes are trying to move from side to side to get a better footing, but they've run really extremely well at this point.
Of course, they won't be terribly sure what's happened in front, but Dick Beardsley and Simonson are judged to have tied, the tie they organised, and here now is Beardsley at the finish.
Dick, how do you feel?
I feel great. I feel very good. It was a super day to run a race. The conditions, you couldn't find any better conditions. A super course. I'd like to just thank Gillette. They put and everybody else involved in the race. They did a heck of a great job.
Did it go as you'd planned, as you'd anticipated?
Yeah, pretty much so. I wanted to try to make a move coming off of the London, or what's the main bridge there at halfway point?
Tower Bridge.
Tower Bridge. And then the Norwegian. We broke away from the other guys about 16 miles, and then it was just a duking out between me and him. He'd put in a surge, and I'd put in a surge, trying to break each other. Then with about a half mile to go, we just kind of looked at each other and gave a wink, and it was, it was just a good race. I'm very pleased.
Was that a deliberate gesture to try and cross the finishing line?
Yeah, it was. We were just duking it out together the whole way, and it was just one of those things that, in the Olympics or something like that, then of course, but in a race like this, there's another time to really duke it out at the end.
You were 6th in New York, weren't you? And this is your first marathon win now.
Yes, I was 9th in New York. And this is my 3rd marathon in 3 months now, so I'm going to take a break now.
And will you be back if there's another London Marathon next year?
I hope to be. It's a super event, and I think it's got nothing but future greatness in the whole situation, the whole race.
Well, Dick Beardsley talking there about the halfway stage at one point, and some still going through there. And out on Tower Bridge, too, is Desmond Lynam.
You're from Holland? Yes. How many marathons have you run?
I have 12 marathons in 1 year.
Yeah.
But I am a little bit ill on the knee.
Oh dear, the knee's gone. Yeah. Will you? You've got 13 miles to go at this stage. Do you think you can make it?
Yeah. I was 65 kilo.
Yeah.
The first month I was 19.
Well, good luck.
Well, a good marathon, 20 people.
Yeah.
Good.
Good luck.
Okay.
So he goes on his way, and meanwhile, back with the runners completing the distance. Joyce Smith there in Parliament Square, the leading girl, and she is very, very close to the British record. She's got to break 2 hours 30, really, in which case she could be among the world's leading lady athletes ever over this distance, in second or third place. As she goes through, we go back now to Desmond Lynam.
Can I run with you for a few yards? Can I? Yeah. Do you really love London?
Yes.
That's what it says on your thing?
Yes.
Despite that. How many marathons have you run before?
None.
Really? How do you feel so far?
A bit heavy in the legs.
Really?
Yes.
But mentally stable, I hope.
Yes, because the crowd's been great and they keep on cheering you as you come up.
Are you going to finish?
I aim to.
I'm tired. Bye.
Well, there's about 13 painful miles left there. But for Joyce Smith in the pack, there's just a matter of about half a mile. Member of the Barnet Club. And I know she really is hoping to beat 2.5 hours. Plus they're picking up some of the walking wounded, but in fact not being used much. And one of the remarkable things about this marathon, we've not seen many people dropping out so far. They really are staying the pace well.
Actually, Joyce Smith is running with 2 former Welsh Commonwealth athletes. Bernie Hayward's in there, Clive Thomas, and I don't suppose any of these men would begrudge her her place. She's coming up to the finish now, pushed all the way by former track internationals. There's Bernie Hayward pushing her, and she's being cheered all the way. Marvellous run, chasing a time of 2 hours 30:27. John Disley cheering her in, the coordinator of the race, cheering her there up to the line. A magnificent run. And she's bettered it. She's bettered it. 2:29, just inside 2:30. A new Commonwealth best for Joyce Smith. In magnificent form.
John Disley there, the course director, just channeling Joyce Smith towards the ladies' funnel. The ladies have a separate finishing area to keep them their race separate from the men. Gillian Drake from New Zealand in second place. And here now is Joyce Smith at the finish.
I'll let you get your breath. Terrific.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Tired. But the crowds, they're fantastic. They were. They lifted me at the end, all the way through.
And what about the time? Inside 2.5 hours?
I think I just squeezed in.
Just?
Yeah.
Magnificent.
So, third to go inside 2:30. British record.
British record, personal best, a terrific achievement. Did it go as you planned? Did you have a policy?
No, I was just going to run, but I got afraid. I got carried away.
You got sucked along, did you?
Yeah, I got carried away faster than I wanted to at the beginning and just kept going.
That the third fastest time ever by a marathon runner in the world. 2 minutes 29, 2 hours 29 minutes 56 seconds, and Joyce finished in 138th place. The astonishing thing about this race is how many people who are normally just joggers are staying the course so well. They mostly started sensibly, didn't commit themselves too early, and we're going to have a lot of finishers. Roger Corbin, the waiter from Los Angeles, with just about 3 miles to go. He's going under Tower Bridge in a moment, and on top is Desmond Lynam.
Excuse me, sir, would you like to share my umbrella for a little jog?
Certainly.
Yeah. How do you feel so far?
Well, I'm a bit tired.
Yeah. Where do you come from?
I come from America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done the New York Marathon?
No, I haven't. This is actually my first marathon.
What made you come over here for this one?
Well, it was the first one, and I thought it would be quite exciting to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you feel so far, then?
Well, I'm coming up to halfway point, I think, but I intend to finish it up.
You've got, I think, about 7,300 in front of you.
I know. My point is just to finish.
Good, marvelous.
That's my goal.
Nice to have you here. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
He's got 13.5 miles to go. These have just got a matter of yards now. But the astounding thing, Gillian Adams on the right of the picture, the astounding thing, and it must be surprising Brendan Foster as well, is the good condition in which athletes are finishing. And this really is a breakthrough in every sense for fitness running in this country, Brendan.
Well, I think this event today is historic in our sport because I think it's going to precipitate a running boom alongside the one in America. It's quite frightening that the effect that this particular race can have, and I just hope that we in the sport can handle it.
We make Gillian Adams third in the women's race, and her time 2 hours 40 minutes 43. Leslie Watson on the way through, but she's some way to go yet.
Leslie Watson, of course, better known as an ultra-marathon runner. She runs 100 kilometres, twice this distance. She's on target for a personal best time. Many people expected her to do better than this, but she's around 2 hours 45 and on target for that. Leslie Watson, again in good Welsh company, being cheered on. 2:48.22, maybe just below her personal best time. But as David Coleman was saying, they're looking so magnificent at the finish.
Horace Cutler having a word, leader of the GLC. Desmond Lynham having a word with Ted Peacock.
Is it Edward?
Yeah.
I thought it was Edward Peacock, isn't it? Yeah, we had you on the list.
Yeah.
How do you feel so far?
Oh, not so good. Well, muscles up in the thighs are seizing up.
Is it? Really?
Yeah, I'm a bit under-trained. It's not my time of the year for a marathon.
Not your time of the year. When would you normally like to run the marathon?
Oh, about August or September.
Better in August. You'll be building for one then.
Yeah.
Well, you're getting tremendous support from the crowd, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
How old are you, sir? 73 and a very hearty one. Congratulations.
Well, he's on his way to try and complete his 28th marathon. This is the late starter, Pat Wright from St Albans. Started some 20 minutes behind the field, or the leaders. But looking fresher, I must say, at 30 miles than she did at 6. Snap Booth of Eton Manor, the spot of trouble. He's about 56, and he's done 2 hours 54 previously. He's going to be close to that today, but he's making sure he gets there. Some 5 minutes outside his best time, but finishing really is winning. And the presentation coming up now to the two men who ran it out together, hand in hand. On the far side, Dick Beardsley, United States of America, and Inga Simonsen of Norway. Their joint winning time, 2 hours, 11 minutes, 48 seconds. Chris Brazier, the man whose idea all this was, and who's combined with his fellow Olympic steeplechaser John Disley to stage it. I must say, as Chris is coming through these cheering crowds, he must be remembering something he wrote after the New York Marathon when he ran there and came back with this idea. He said nearly 2,000 years ago, Paul saw a vision on the road to Damascus. And in a sense, that's what Chris Brazier has seen in staging this race. Joyce Smith confirmed as the winner of the ladies' event. Her time, 2 hours, 29 minutes, 56 seconds. A new British record. Some 3 hours after the start, and still they stream in.
Incidentally, David, Chris Brazier's managed to produce a lifetime best after all that organisation, and we know for a fact he was up, what, 4 o'clock this morning at least. And here's a young man in a bit of trouble, but boy, they're being cheered every inch of the way.
Well, this is Robin Thompson from Cheshire Boys in Buckinghamshire, running his first marathon, and really only determination is driving him forward. As he turns this corner, well, there's the whole spirit of the race really being reflected by the crowd, who are driving him forward. You can see the finishing line, but it's some 120, 130 yards away.
Fred LeBeau said to me yesterday, to finish a marathon is like reaching for the impossible dream, and some people here have got that. And there in the field is Dave Bedford. He's having a lot of trouble in this particular race. Former world record holder for 10,000 metres. I'm 3 miles away from the finish, and I'm sure Dave will get back started again.
Poor Robin Thompson in desperate trouble. And really, in a friendly marathon like this, look at the competitors all encouraging him. And there's no reason why he shouldn't be helped on his way. But is he going to make it? Marvellous, and not a bad time either. Just over 3 hours, 2 minutes. A remarkable effort, and the way fun runners have responded to this, well, surprises even the best.
Well, they're bringing a respectability to other than winning races, and that's very, very important for the future development of our sport.
Roger Bourbon, the running waiter, finishing just over 3 hours, which I think may well be a personal best.
Interesting that David Bedford should run into his wall at about 23 miles. We're sure he hasn't done a lot of training. He just turned up for this as a fun run, in the spirit of the thing. Marvellous the way some are managing to survive, but their legs will give out. Cramp is beginning to take its toll.
Peter Duncan from Blue Peter just being out-sprinted, but he's gone well as well. 3 hours 12, respectability. And meanwhile, the oldest man in the race is just crossing Tower Bridge.
Well, we saw you on Sports Night last Wednesday. Has it gone according to plan, Bob?
No, not exactly. I'm a little bit below what I was hoping to do.
Why is that?
Well, unfortunately, I'm above my distance for one thing.
What's your normal distance?
6 to 7 miles.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I've got this pain in my groin.
Have you?
Yeah, maybe I didn't start too fast or something. I don't know.
You set off a bit quick, did you?
I think I did that.
Yeah.
Because my groin's hurting, so the only way I can finish now is walking.
Only the second man we've seen in real trouble. And he is in desperate trouble. And he is within sight of the finish, too. Sympathetic words of encouragement. We're back now among athletes who are around the 3,000 mark. It's the Gateshead treasurer, a member of Brendan Foster's club, helping that sorely tried athlete on his way, and he's done the impossible to get up again.
Well, anyone who asks why they did it, if they just see the spirit as they approach the finish, they certainly got the answer to that one.
There's the blind competitor, Dennis Moore, now 50, with his helping hand from Wally Scott, who's 58 and running his 10th marathon. And that struggling competitor up in front has managed to finish. Another helping hand there.
I think it's Douglas McKeith being helped on. He's got a competitor who must be 20 years his senior, helping him along. And he's got a massive crowd support. Really, they have made this day. And there's J.P.R. Williams. He said he came in a moment of idiocy. Look at him, he's a stocky mesomorph, not designed for marathon running at all. And here he is approaching the finish. He's carried out the 26.2 miles, and he's done well.
Well, I would think that will give J.P.R. as much satisfaction as most of his record number of Welsh caps. What a sportsman he is, too, of course. He's played tennis for Wales, and also I think he's a county squash player, too. And Jimmy Savile on the way. The finish in sight. He's got about 50 yards to go, and if he finishes, he raises some £50,000 for Stoke Mandeville. Marvellous this in the year of the disabled, and Jimmy acting it up, helped on his way by Horace Cutler. And the clock stops at just under 4 hours 12.
Listen, I've given plenty of Jim will fix it badges away. It's the first time I ever got one back like this.
How did it go for you?
It would have been okay if somebody hadn't moved Buckingham Palace. yesterday Buckingham Palace was about 11 miles the other way, and somebody during the night has moved it, and also I was suffering under a handicap because when they saw me coming, they put Tower Bridge up, and I had to jump across like Starsky and Hutch, and other than that, what a fantastic day.
How much have you raised, do you think, for Stoke Mandeville?
Well, God willing, by now, having just finished, about £50,000.
Terrific.
Well, it spurred me on when all else was lost. Actually, to tell a lie, a most pleasant day.
No low moments, no time when you thought you wouldn't finish?
No, none whatsoever. In fact, over the last 5 miles, I was able to turn it on a bit so I could get back in some reasonable time. I think you overcompensate by going a bit slow first, and then you wish you hadn't gone slow. So it's just one of those things, but a great workout, you know. I'm actually not used to these short distances. Johnny Groats Land's End, yes, but a 26 and a bit mile sprint, that's the way it goes.
Jimmy, terrific.
Thank you, and God bless everybody.
Well done, Jim. Well, they started at 9 o'clock, 5 hours, 16 minutes on. And on the way, the road's opened out of traffic, and on the way, garlanded and keeping warm, 64 years old MADGE Sharples, the oldest British lady competitor, and she looks like finishing. And meanwhile, an ambulance is at the finish as one or two injured competitors limp through. Oh, MADGE looks in good form, Brendan.
Well, she's certainly captured the spirit of the marathon, and that's what it's all about. Dick Quack said that in a track race, all they get is an elbow. In a marathon race, you get encouragement, and she's certainly had encouragement, and she's certainly captured today.
Absolutely untroubled. And what encouragement the spectators have given the athletes. Well, let's see if we can talk to Madge.
Madge, congratulations, that's terrific. Under 5.5 hours, you pleased?
Absolutely thrilled, thank you.
Any breaks?
Not breaks, no, just aches.
Aches?
In the knees, but I can still do our knees up, mother, round, so it's not so bad.
You'll get a taste for this sport now, won't you?
Rather. I'm going to run in the Finlandia in May, possibly the Chelmsley Wood.
Terrific, Madge.
Good.
Well, there's the oldest man coming through, and he's got to finish. Been on the road 6.25 hours. And Bob Wiseman completes the course. 78 years old. The clock actually has stopped in the wrong place. It's a bit slower than that, but who cares? So we look back now on these athletes finishing, and we've seen born in London today what is surely destined to become one of the great events in British sport. And we've seen, too, the complete fulfilment of the old Olympic dream, a race in which to take part really is more important than to win.
Predictably, the 1982 Gillette London Marathon was going to attract a huge entry, but we never thought that over 93,000 people would want to enter. We could only accept with our organisation, we thought 14,000. Under pressure, we increased that to 16 and then to 18. And that's what we took, 18,060 people. Now, we could have never done this without tremendous assistance, particularly from the Greater London Council, their staff and their officers, from the Metropolitan Police, our dedicated sponsors who work so hard, and thousands of volunteers. To them, our heartfelt thanks. But really, above all, this race is about courage and determination. And there's one couplet of Browning that I would like to quote you. Ah, that a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? This year, thousands of people who never ever believed that they could run the ultimate athletic distance, the marathon, have actually done so. They've grasped out to the unattainable, they've attained it, and they've achieved their heaven.
This, the largest marathon field ever assembled anywhere in the world, and facing a journey through the streets of London that takes in the heart of Dockland, as well as some of the tourist attractions that abound in this great city. There are two starting points on either side of Blackheath, which over 3 centuries ago was the burial ground for victims of the Great Plague, but this morning alive with the thousands whose imagination and enthusiasm has been caught. Tony Gubber talks to some of them.
We've done up to 20 miles as a horse, so we're hoping for about 3.25 hours today.
Did you get round last year, did you?
Yeah, all the way. But we had to pack the horse into a rucksack and carry it between us. This year we're going to keep together.
You're trying to stay in this formation all the way around, are you? I see you've got your watch on the front here. What's the purpose of this?
It's to keep time. We'll try and get through the 10, about 70 minutes, and then see how we go from there.
Best of luck. It looks like a very uncomfortable contraption to me. Let's move along to the old man at the back. Whose idea was this?
Well, we decided, this is London, so we'll give you a bit of a swirl, We're from Wolverhampton, a happy town.
It's about 3 times longer than I've ever run, so I'm a little bit apprehensive. But I've been in hard training. I'm down to 5 pints of lager a night now. And I've been loading the carbohydrates, as all the coaches advised. The only trouble is I've been doing it since about a week before Christmas.
The starting gun, manned by men of the Royal Artillery, a 25-pounder. And the athletes wait for the signal to start their journey of 26 miles, 385 yards. Away they go. The elite men and the elite women who are joined by first-time male marathon runners, known as the Virgin Men. Joyce Smith just on the edge of shot, the women's favourite going very quickly away, and the men's pack has really gone off very, very quickly. These elite athletes are followed by men who have run a marathon before.
The second Gillette London Marathon well and truly underway, and it really has taken our capital city by storm. This has surely taken over from the boat race, even from Derby Day, with 18,000 runners, 3,000 helpers, and up to 500,000 supporters. And those supporters may well prove significant to those tail-enders, the fun runners. 51% of these competitors have never run a marathon before. 1,600 teachers, 1,400 engineers, 290 unemployed. The favourite out in front, Hugh Jones, incidentally. 52 retired workers, 33 stockbrokers, and way at the back, they're only at a walk, and that's good. Remember me? Indeed, I think we can, from last year. Les Bainham from Southend. And many of them here just for the spirit of the occasion. And many have asked why, and I suppose it's because man's greatest moment of happiness may be to be tested. There's Jimmy Savile, tested beyond what he thought might be his breaking point and not failed. And there'll be no failures today, just to make the 26 miles, 385 yards. And there's no loneliness of the long-distance runner here. It's about camaraderie and friendship. It really is. Bernie Clifton there, the comedian, with Oswald, the ostrich, on his way. And thousands of pounds, surely, will be raised for charity. Most of these people running not just for themselves, but for others as well. On the bike there, Frank Evans, 54. His own form of transport, keeping out of the way, chatting all the way. He'll keep a few hearts going. And these two great prongs of runners about to join up.
They run the first 2.5 miles on separate courses and then join on a dual carriageway, where they run on either side of the dual carriageway for the next 1.5 miles up to 4 miles, and then the whole field joins. Hugh Jones and Grenville Tuck already setting a tremendous pace. They've broken away from the pack, and they really are going very quickly indeed. Bill Thornton in the wheelchair, given special permission to start, paralysed when he was shot by terrorists in Cyprus, and accompanied by 2 of his friends, both local government officers from St Albans. And that is the point where the women's elite pack and the first-time male marathon runners join up with the fast and experienced runners. That's after 2.5 miles. The leaders already well on the way, and the time for the 2 leaders at 2 miles was very quick, just over 9 minutes 40 seconds. A late starter, Tony Smith, a policeman from Balham. The stately lines of the Cutty Sark, the fastest T-clipper in history. And that is just beyond the 6 miles mark, and Hugh Jones and Grenville Tuck both well away. Tuck, one of the twins from Aldershot, Jones, of course, from Rainley Harriers. And Bob Wiseman, he's covered 1.5 miles, the second oldest competitor at 79. That's John Drew, a journalist. He's 69 from Canterbury Veterans. Beverly Estanio with him, keeping him company. And meanwhile, at Cutty Sark, the field beginning to go through. Dahl of Norway in 3rd place. And then come some Americans. Jeff Wells. McCary is there as well. Pick Grattan from Invicta. Zach Kariasen of Denmark is also there. And the field beginning to split already. Meanwhile, back at the start, the road now once more open to traffic. Magnificent organisation. And the athletes through in each start in about 7 or 8 minutes. 9,000 of them in each start.
Joyce Smith in the middle of that pack, and she will be cheered every inch of the way. Joyce Smith from Barnet, from Watford area, who's been an international for more than 20 years. She's got stern opposition from a couple of very good New Zealand girls, including Lorraine Moller, unbeaten over this distance for 3 years. And they met last time, although Joyce won. Oh, there's Roger Bourbon. Remember him, the waiter, carrying that all the way round, going for a new record this year. And here's Hugh Jones, 26 now, at the Tower, a graduate of Liverpool University, who lives at the moment in Budapest.
Actually, Hugh Jones got away just after 8 miles, and that's Superman going through. Marcus Simpkins is a student at the University of Sussex. Bernie Clifton happily approaching 6¼ miles. Thoroughly enjoying himself, but what about the footwear? Well, Hugh Jones well on his way. He's a minute clear of Zachariasen of Denmark in 2nd place. 3rd is Dahl of Norway. And Zachariasen has gone the wrong way. And Dahl takes 20-30 metres out of the Dane. What desperate luck. Albert Gordon, the oldest competitor, a millionaire banker from America. Approaching Tower Bridge. Now this is just under 13 miles. And Hugh Jones, already exempted by the British Amateur Athletic Board from competing in the trial race for the Commonwealth Games and the European Championships, well, he's proved those selectors to be right, because he's run right away from this field. There are the leaders. Jones leading, Zachariasen now back in 2nd, Dahl 3rd, Mick Grattan 4th, Coppers of America 5, McCary 6, and Jeff Wells 7. Thousands pounding their way over Tower Bridge, and we're looking now for the first woman, and it is Joyce Smith, going very easily and going very fast. She ran a very fast time through the Cutty Sark area, and she's still going very quickly.
Hugh Jones in the Isle of Dogs, and although not very well known, many of his good marathons out of this country, he is the reigning 3A's marathon champion. I think that car being waved across and out of his way, really in tremendous form. And the race organiser is expecting a good run from him, and it would be appropriate to see a Londoner win the London Marathon. Ranelagh Harriers, born in North London, Liverpool University, training in Budapest and trained with the Hungarians. And there's that that horse again. That's Mitch and Billy Wilson going well.
Actually, they're running a tremendous time and joined together. Father must be some athlete, really, struggling along behind his son. Meanwhile, Hugh Jones, as they go over Tower Bridge above him, is underneath at 21 miles. Those athletes we've just been watching are some 8 miles behind. And they include a very famous figure indeed, the Welsh rugby international, J.P.R. Williams, who's got time to talk to Bob Wilson.
J.P.R. going well. Well, so far so good. It's the easy part of the race done. Oh, God.
Last year, do you think doing it last year has helped?
I'll tell you at the end of the race, Bob. It's okay at the moment.
You've not hit the dreaded wall?
No, not yet. Not yet. For another 6 miles.
Any amusing moments?
Well, the usual aching arms and waving at the crowd.
All the best, keep going.
Well, he kept going last year, but here's a man keeping going in the mile now, about a mile from home and on schedule for possibly the world's fastest time, set by Alberto Salazar at 2 hours, 8 minutes, 13 seconds. And enjoying this run is Brendan Foster.
Well, Hugh Jones is running his 9th marathon here. He's led all the way. He's obviously very tired now, but he seems immensely strong. What a place to do it, though, for a Londoner, to do it at home in London. And what a courageous way to do it, to lead all the way in the marathon. The women's leader, Joyce Smith, who's now in Tower Walk. She's almost a mile ahead of her rival, Lorraine Muller. And Hugh Jones in Birdcage Walk. You can almost see the finish, and he's lucky he's able to respond to that.
The time is very fast indeed. Very, very close to Salazar's world best. But he's still got a little over half a mile to go. Dahl in second place has got away from Mick Grattan of Invicta. Wells and McCarry together.
Bernie, you're looking very colourful.
Never been better. It's purple, isn't it?
How's it actually going? How are your legs standing up to it?
Oh, well, I'm all right. I mean, I'm just sitting here.
But it is getting a little bit warm, isn't it? A bit humid.
It's a bit humid, yeah, but could have been worse. Could have been raining, or could have been windy.
Did you set yourself any sort of limit? Are you more or less on time?
As long as I finish by a week next Thursday, I'll be delighted.
Well, here's somebody well on the way to the finish now, being roared on by Chris Brasher, the course director. And Hugh Jones can see the finish, and it's going to be very fast, outside a world best, very close to a British best, and certainly the fastest marathon ever run in the United Kingdom. Frank Evans still there on the bike. Athletes still going through the dock area as Hugh Jones pounds his way to the finish now. And the time, very, very fast indeed. The fastest marathon ever run in the United Kingdom. 2 hours, 9 minutes, 26 seconds. And the second fastest marathon ever by a Brit. Now, the Ian Thompson has ever run faster. A magnificent piece of running. And he's been front running all the way. He's made his own pace. The temperature 60. Not easy for marathon running in that temperature, but he's done it well. Not everyone has succeeded in finishing by any way, so going on their way to the finish. These some of the casualties as Dahl of Norway comes up now in second place. Dahl, who's broken away in the last mile from Grattan of Invicta. The tall Norwegian got a best time of just over 2 hours 11 minutes. Has been in the first 2 or 3 all the way. So Dahl in second place, and Mick Grattan comes through for Great Britain into third place. His best previous time just over 2 hours 16, so he's slashed 4 minutes off that. A fine run indeed. Mick Grattan, the Inter-Counties 20 miles champion.
Well, what a storming finish from Hugh Jones, and that augurs well. And I wonder whether we'll get the same sort of finish from Joyce Smith. She's actually looking very tired. She really is being egged on all the way. She's easily recognised. She's been at the forefront of British athletics for more than 20 years. She's determined to run in Los Angeles in the marathon, and she'll be 47 then. And why not? She's running faster than she's ever run before. One of the feeding stations, the advice was take as much liquid as you can. The temperature up in the 60s, and that's very, very important. And Roger Baldwin's having a good run, the waiter, up to Admiralty Arch. And he could be representing Switzerland in the European Championships in Athens when he'll be properly dressed for the occasion, running against Hugh Jones.
Well, there the first 10 placings. Hugh Jones confirmed with the second fastest marathon by Britain and the fastest ever in the United Kingdom. Oh, we're all waiting now for the appearance of the winner of the women's race. Undoubtedly, it's going to be Joyce Smith of Great Britain. The question now is, can she break the British marathon record, which she set in this race 12 months ago? 2 hours, 29 minutes rather, 57 seconds. Joyce being encouraged all the way, not just by the crowd, but by fellow athletes, and now being guided to the other side of the road to finish in the sort of splendid isolation she deserves. There's a special finishing funnel for the First Lady across the line, and it is certainly going to be Joyce Smith, preceded by a delighted Chris Brasher, who's organised this race with John Disley so well. Joyce is looking very tired. The early pace was perhaps too quick. She knows how close she is to that record. She must be able to see the clock above the finishing line. John Disley looks at his watch and shouts at Joyce Smith. 2 hours, 29:57 to beat. Can she do it? Again, the encouragement from John Disley. Joyce, coached by her husband Brian, now 44, who first ran for Great Britain as long ago as 1960 at 800 metres. And she will certainly set new British record figures. She's over 10 seconds inside the old figures. And so Britons have won both races. A new British record for Joyce Smith and the fastest UK race time ever for Hugh Jones.
Hugh, many congratulations. The satisfaction in winning a marathon, but that must be especially sweet.
Yes, certainly the time's better than I expected 2 hours ago.
Your personal best, and in fact the second fastest marathon time of all time by a British runner.
Yeah, I believe so.
You did it the hard way, though, from the front. Was that the plan?
No, it wasn't really. The start being downhill and Grenville Tuck taking me out, you know, it led to an faster early pace than I expected. I felt fairly comfortable, so I just tried to keep it going.
Well, that's Brian Preece of Kidderminster in trouble. He's only yards from the finish. He's got a personal best of just inside 3 hours 20. He's way, way inside that. And determination driving him home. And he's knocked minutes off his best time. He gets there, and the pain will soon be forgotten. Not everyone finishing, though. A lot of athletes suffering from dehydration. Martin Gianni, that is, from Colchester, civil servant. The officials reluctant to help him. Well, there's more than one way of finishing a marathon. And Martin Gianni is determined to get there on hands and knees. Just listen to the crowd trying to help. And Martin Gianni makes it. And meanwhile, the oldest competitor, Albert Gordon, is with Bob Wilson.
Well, here's the oldest gentleman in the marathon, Albert Gordon. How are you getting on?
Not bad, not bad. Maybe I'll make it.
Are you managing to take in the sights as you go along?
Beautiful run. Couldn't be better.
This is a very historic park.
The people are so pleasant. The parks are so attractive. Like every bit of it.
The millionaire banker. Meanwhile, one of the most attractive parts of the coast, through St. Catherine's Dock. The athletes going through quite easily. This is at about 21 miles. Certainly not got much time to admire the scenery. Someone enjoying himself out there is Jimmy Savile.
These cobbles aren't too clever, are they, to run on?
No, actually, I've lost all sense of feeling below my ears. So, no problem. It's a lovely look at that beautiful little lady. Goodbye, goodbye.
You better come back. Is that your pacer? Hang on.
Hey? It's not my pacer, it's a dream.
Well, I'll leave you to her. Good luck.
Well, he ought to be enjoying himself. He's running faster than usual. He's on his way to one of his fastest times. And J.P.R. Williams, who finished the marathon last year, in the mile now, checking on the time and certain to finish. Welsh Tennis International as well as Rugby International, and completing his second marathon. John Brewer in trouble, a student from Newton Abbot. In fact, he's wearing a Loughborough vest and getting a helping hand. And meanwhile, another athlete in trouble, a familiar face from Blue Peter, Peter Duncan.
Peter, how are you doing? Obviously not too well at the moment.
No, I'm afraid not. No, I had a run on Friday. and something happened to the knee, but no excuses, don't matter. I was going right up to a 20 and then I hit the famous wall.
You really hit that wall, did you?
Well, it was the floor, actually.
Did you go over? Did you keel over?
Yeah, I discovered the wall is the floor.
You've only got about 3.5 miles. You'll make it. Good lad, keep going, keep going. Everybody, all your Blue Peter fans are cheering for you. Keep going. Bye.
Bye-bye.
A lot of followers. Admiralty Arch, about 2 miles from home. And you can bet Blue Peter will be supported. There's Roger Bowman going for a lifetime best. I bet he wishes he could swig at that bottle. And he certainly will when he gets to the finish. Very recognisable figure from last year and a very fine marathon runner indeed. Restaurateur, he's a Swiss, lives in America, and he's having a good run. And that horse, Mitch and Billy Wilson, and they too, that's a tremendous run. The temptation must be for one to drag the other, I'm sure, but that really has been a splendid run by them.
John Sumter in trouble, member of Haywards Heath Harriers. He's only yards from the finish. Obviously cramp, but he'll surely make it. Hobbling towards the finish, and a respectable time. Safely home. And Superman is flying. Student from the University of Sussex, finishing just under 3 hours 16. An astonishing number of athletes coming through in good condition and finishing strongly. Nelson's column in Trafalgar Square, Admiralty Arch, and still they come. Hundreds of them happy to complete the journey. The Panto horse approaching Buckingham Palace, and perhaps reflecting the equestrian enthusiasm the royal family showed. They've had a marvellous run and they're going to finish in a good time. Father and son, and the father at the back must be some athlete. John McQueenie from Aldershot, with problems again just yards from the finish. Well, they're not all just sweating or talking. Some are running to music.
That's great, that's great. Did you not lose your breath blowing?
I do a little bit. I can only play for short, about kind of 15 seconds or so.
How many tunes have you been playing?
Oh, about half a dozen or so. When You're Smiling, Rock Around the Clock, When the Saints Go Marching In.
Can you give us When You're Smiling again then? Yeah. Do that for us. Yeah. Off you go. Keep going, that's marvellous, well done.
Eric Newton, the clarinetist from Stoke-on-Trent. There are lots of smiles around here through the pain. Well, the father and son in the pantomime horse, the Wilsons from Wolverhampton, on their way to what is a very respectable time indeed. Just inside 3.5 hours, and that's an average of about 8-minute miles. Well done indeed. Fred LeBow wearing number 2. One of the great figures in road running all over the world. The organizer of the New York Marathon, also the founder figure of the Roadrunners Club in America. But meanwhile, a very familiar face now with Bob Wilson.
Alan, you're definitely going at a slower pace than you were when you passed me on Tower Bridge.
I hit lager withdrawal symptoms at about 18 miles, Bob. I'm all right now. I've got the sponge, but I'm not throwing it in. It's too close now.
Did you come close to packing it in?
No, never. Can you Liverpool, Bob? You know that.
No, can you remember who scored for Liverpool yesterday? Go on, you did the
remember who they were playing.
Who scored? Who scored?
Ian Rush.
Well done.
Big Ben showing 1 o'clock. 3.5 hours gone. Many thousands through the finish line, but many more thousands to come. Still packing the streets of London. Up to the finish line, they're forming queues to get through now. And how well London has responded to this event. They've lined the route, they've packed and cheered. Jimmy Savile, look at him with his entourage. He's got as many around him as he has cheering him on. And thousands more pounds will go to charity. It's one of those outgoing and outgiving days. That's the spirit in the mile. A few feeling it, of course. A few never thought they'd ever get through. And quite a few will never run a marathon again. And why should they? This has been... Oh, there's a tough one there. That's Simon Beadsworth from Hitchin in Hertfordshire. And he doesn't look as though he's going to make it. And these, not certain whether to help him or not. They're not sure whether he wants help or whether he can help himself. But a lot of people would like to.
Well, he's close enough to feel despair, because he can almost see the finish, but he's very unlikely to make it. Others struggling through, including Peter Duncan of Blue Peter. What a gritty run he's produced. In such trouble out on the Isle of Dogs, some 7 miles from home, but now absolutely sure to complete the distance. So, Peter Duncan on his way to the finish, as we now join the women's winner, Joyce Smith.
Well, Joyce, many, many congratulations. The heroine of the London Marathon yet again.
Thank you. A bit relieved.
Still catching the breath. Now, 10 seconds or so inside your time of last year. How do you account for that on a day when everybody tells us the weather wasn't good for marathon running, it's too hot?
Yeah, well, a little actually disappointed with the time, really, because I'd have liked 2:27, but then it was warm. So let's hope that that's the reason, which makes Hugh's run even better.
Well, last year's London Marathon launched the running boom, and I'm sure this one has inspired another. And there's Alan Parry. He's done extremely well. I wonder if Bob Wilson or Jimmy Hill will take a line from him for next year's London Marathon. He's now in the mile, and he's heading pretty well for the finish. He's going to finish under 4 hours, and there's Jimmy Savile with his entourage. He's fixed it for Stoke Mandeville this year, and he's fixed it for a few of his followers. They're coming up with a peak finishing time, and I'm really impressed with the organisation of the finish. It's done extremely well. Jimmy Savile has done extremely well. He's enjoying himself, but I'm sure he'll praise the organisers because they've had an easy ride. And they're even finishing at this peak time when they're going to be 240 a minute finishing, and they're crossing the line with ease.
And Jimmy Savile a lot faster than last year. In fact, he's, some 25 minutes faster at least. Some of the finishers approaching Parliament Square. I wonder if he started like that. It's Eric James, I believe, who comes from Cardiff and plays for, or is a member of, the Clondalk North Rugby Football Club. It does begin to look as if we shall have a world record number of finishers in this race. They've been going 4 hours now. Eric Newton, the clarinetist from Stoke. Well, he finished the music, and no doubt enjoying that, Jimmy Savile.
Jimmy, congratulations. You make a habit of this, don't you? Last year it was, and now we're back again.
Yeah, it's really been really terrific this year. It's much warmer this year than last year, and I think that's flaked a lot of people out. It didn't seem to do me any harm because I've done 40 minutes better this year than I did last year, so that's not too bad.
You made £50,000 for Stoke Mandeville last year. How much have you made this?
God willing, with all the team that I've got running with me today, we shall clear about 200,000 £200,000. And I've got myself a bird as well.
Have you really?
Yes,
Go on,
yes.
have a look.
There were 1,364 birds running, and I determined to get one. So I got one, as it happens.
Talking about birds, Lorraine Waller for his second, and here now the penny farthing man. Frank Evans from Brigg. Too tall to get through the finish. He's 54. Parks his cycle safely and crosses the finishing line. But what a marvellous run by Bernie Clifton. And the ostrich looks good too. So Bernie completes the distance. And this is Bob Keary, who's hardly constructed for marathon running. Well, there'll be a few will be saying that. And he's still got about a mile to go. Bill Thornton in the wheelchair from Watford, with his two colleagues from St Albans. Kevin Watson and Steve Burke.
Yes, he's a swimming instructor in St Albans. Bill Thornton there, and a couple coming up to the line. That's Thomas Cholwill, who's from Newbury, and James Akers from Waddington. Both in their 50s, they've formed a friendship. I'll bet that'll go on for a while as well. Relief. Stephanie Lawrence, star of Evita. She's had a very good run too. Has looked good all the way and has been cheered all the way. Stephanie Lawrence. Well, historic London has seen many pageants. Few to match this in terms of excitement. There's a man I got every sympathy and empathy with. Bob Keary. A Londoner, says he'll never do it again. He probably never will, but he'll never forget today.
He's going to finish way outside his estimated best, but he is going to finish. A lot of pain out there as well. So I think David Rose, who's an accountant from Edgware. He's in the mile. Well, he's close enough to have hope. Time unimportant, finishing is all. And the streets now open, the pedestrians crossing, and so too some of the runners. They've been out an awful long time. Getting on for 6 hours. Somebody determined to hobble home, and there's Suzanne Dando, former British gymnastics champion, former superstar, running for charity, taking it easy. She's gone sensibly all the way to make finishing absolutely certain. Suzanne, 5 hours 36 plus. And the three-legged pair, well, I can't name one of them, but the other's John Kemp, who's a social worker from Cheltenham. And they've been tied together for an awful long time. Looks as if his tracksuit split with the bandage. Should think they'll miss each other for the rest of the day. Bill Thornton finishing with his two companions. Bill Thornton from Watford, Steve Burke and Kevin Watson. Oh, he's still looking for some of the familiar faces of last year. Oh, and there's one. Do you remember Madge Sharples?
Now a marathon personality around the world. She's running 4 marathons. I think she's been to Bermuda. She writes a column about marathon running, and she really has taken it over. And what about that? That's got to be a daughter cheering dad home. Wilfred Riley from Preston. The daughter gone out onto the course to greet him. Very proud daughter at that. And many a familiar face in this crowd. The organisers must be delighted. They really have turned it all on. London has turned out. The weather has been kind. And the occasion has matched the occasion of last year.
Well done. Come on, come on, come on.
Madge, here we are again.
Tony,
Did you enjoy that?
Fantastic. Best ever. Absolutely. There's nowhere like London. The crowds, the scenery, and it was a better route this year.
What about the time? 6 hours, 15 minutes. How does that compare with last year?
Oh, I was 5:28 last year. It's not my personal best, but it's not my personal worst either.
One thought, you're 65, you're not the oldest lady competitor this time. There's somebody of 67, but we're not quite sure where she is, so you're probably the oldest lady finisher.
But I'm not finished.
Not down and out, Madge, well done.
Thank you, Tony.
And well done, GLC, and well done by the GLC. What a magnificent job their recreation department has done in supporting this marathon 100%.
And it really has become a vast event for the people. Bob Wiseman, 79. Finishes just outside his time of last year when he did 6 hours 16. He won't mind about that. The second oldest man in the race.
You got your breath back?
No.
Hey.
No, tomorrow.
Did you enjoy that?
No, yes. Oh, yes. It wasn't so bad, no. It wasn't so bad. I'm tired, but I'm not really distressed, you know what I mean? But I've had enough.
6 hours, 23 minutes. It's not bad for a man of how many years are you?
79.
79?
A bit worse than last year, but nevertheless. Near enough, anyway.
Super.
I'm satisfied to get in.
Marvellous performance. Are you going to come back again next year?
Yes, of course. I'm still around, so believe me. You never know your luck, do you, when you get my age? Just bobbing on a bit, so say.
Well, we certainly all hope that you are still around and you can run again next year. Marvellous.
I hope so. Yes, thank you.
Well, they're not just all sizes in the race. The enthusiasm outside shared by even the very youngest. And there's the very oldest man of all, the millionaire banker from America, 80 years old, Albert Gordon. Through in just over 6 hours. And there's a special round of applause for him. Well, at the head of the race, a triumph for British athletes of world-class times, Hugh Jones and Joyce Smith. And what a splendid festival this has been. We now know over 16,300 started, and the final count seems certain to show that a world record figure of over 15,000 finished. People of all ages from all over the world running shoulder to shoulder, sharing laughter and pain and helping each other through, sharing a common experience they'll never forget.
Wonderful, just wonderful. And it's the people that make it so wonderful. It's all the encouragement. I would be doddering along, but when they cheer, I go it.
Super.
Oh, Chris.
Well done, well done.
And you.
Good.
Oh.